Hi, everybody. Good evening and welcome to Spiritual Talk.
Good evening.
How are you, Leeann?
Joe, I am really well. How are you?
Awesome. It's another week has gone by, and we're back here Wednesday evening for another great interview.
I know. Where does the time go?
Don't know. I don't know. It just goes so quick, but it's good to be back because we have got an absolutely fabulous guest coming on tonight. I'm so excited about our guest tonight. Just a few hellos to people that are coming in. Hi, Paul.
Carol.
I'm saying hello to me, though. But there's Paul on there.
It's a good start.
It was. Hi, everybody. It's great if you're joining us for the first time.
Hi, Vicky. Hi,
Great
Lou.
to see you. The other thing we wanted to talk about as well, please, guys, we want this information tonight going out there. So we're going to start doing, or I'm going to start offering a free reading, a free half-hour reading. So let us know you've shared, and we'll get our guest to pick someone at the end of the interview.
Okay. Would you like to take it in turns?
What, a free reading?
I'm not doing a free reading, but I'm quite happy to give away my free energy. I sound like an energy company, don't I?
It does. It does. That sounds good.
We'll take it in turns. So 1 week you can have a free reading, and the next week you can have a free healing session.
Brilliant. Sounds good to me. So let us know you're there, guys. Please let us know you've shared, and we're about to
share to as many groups and as many pages as you can so we can spread the love.
Absolutely. So this week's guest, I'm super excited. Yes. And you're going to do the intro, aren't you?
I am. And it is with absolute heartfelt pleasure. This beautiful soul, I think I can say, is a soul brother. He is amazing. And me and Paul have both had the pleasure over the last week to have his undivided attention for a breathwork session, which was breathtaking.
Yeah, it was.
Absolutely amazing. So I'm not even going to give his name yet. So this evening's guest is he has his own unique practice and style in yoga called Yogabeats. He works all around the world, and there is so much I could tell you. This gentleman is full of passion, love, and is an amazing soul. So without further ado, I would like to introduce David.
Come in. Hi, David.
Hi.
Good evening.
How are you?
It's an absolute pleasure to have you on this evening, David. There's so much that's been written about you. There's so much. We didn't want to kind of go into that because one of the things we like doing on the Spiritual Talk is getting to know you, the person, and your journey. We kind of like to hear your version of your journey, your beginnings, and how you got to where you are today.
I really, it's lost in the mists of time. I mean, I started out I grew up in the theater. My father was a performer, so I grew up amongst acrobats, magicians. And, growing up in the theater, I started to see that much of what we have today is nothing more than a theater. The reality is backstage, where all the acts say, well, how are you? Do you want a cup of coffee? And it's not about the glitz. It's just about human beings being loving or screwed up, whatever they are. Because on the stage, I'm kind of talking about my early life, everybody masters fear. And we've all mastered fear, but what about now mastering love?
Yeah.
Because most people have not mastered love. They're really great at fear. I'm terrified of this and I'm terrified of that, and this might get me and that might get me. And you should have, you stand in the wings of a theater before it goes up. It stinks. Everybody's farting and and they're sweating and they're in a bad way. And as soon as they get on the stage and they do well, wow. So fear is part of it. But it gets you there, and then once you're there, get over it and start to and that's the point. So I came up through the theater. I was in a tumbling act when I was very young. I'm talking like 5, 6, and
okay.
yeah, and I did lots of things. My father's a singer, so I used to hang out with the musicians, and they would be smoking these what we call giggle sticks. I didn't even know what they were, but everybody was off their heads, and they used to give me, as a little boy. And so everything was open for me. And we traveled from town to town. Can I tell that story about the fear with the magician? Is that all right? I told you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, this is the illusion, because it pertains to a lot of the stuff that people get sold in our society without saying anything. So there's this magician, okay, and he puts his wife in a box. You've seen the old style trick.
No.
And he takes a sword and he starts cutting through, and he cuts it into 3 pieces, and everybody's going, "Oh my God, what's going to happen?" And we used to have an early show, an early evening show, sort of like a midday show rather, an early evening show, and a late night show. And he'd cut his wife up 3 times in each show. And every night we'd leave through the backstage, and I would walk with them. I was only a little boy because I really liked them, and I liked the magicians. And people would be standing at the backstage door, the public, booing and hissing at him and calling him a bastard. And he's doing that 3 times in 24 hours, 7 days a week. And I used to think, these people are really stupid. And I think what happens, we have to stop being audience and start to see that we're being entertained.
Yeah.
You turn the TV on, you're being entertained.
Yeah,
they can pull you any way you like. And what I like about your program, Paul, and you, Leeann, is that you're peddling reality. You're peddling your truth. And I'm here because I heard that in both of you, and I get offered lots of different media things which are horrible, and they're all about these galloping egomaniacs, which is perfectly fine. But our whole world is filled with egomaniacs. Yeah. It's kind of time we have a rest from that stuff, and got back to. I mean, okay, I'm just an old hippie. I mean, I love peace and love and all of that thing, but doesn't everybody else? I mean, when it comes down to it, unless you got a bit of peace and love, what the hell was your life about? Anyway, I went from that, and I got involved in all sorts of things. A very early marriage, disastrous, and the daughter and all of that, and that fell apart. And I found myself in the music industry. I followed it into there. I didn't really want to do what my father did, so I kept away from anything musical, really. But except I couldn't, so I got involved in music and records, and I promoted some big hits in the industry, and then I went from that, and I earned a lot of money, and then it all fell apart with my marriage, and I ended up with a Native American in America who blew my head off, literally. Because I was always seeking what's the reality. I was never satisfied. If someone says something to me, I go, "Oh, really? Okay, let me see what it's like with chili dips and all the other dips." And I want to know. So I'd always drive people nuts till I knew. And this guy, he just said to me, to cut a long story short, we took me to a wiki up in the mountains.
Okay.
And he said to me, I don't know what tribe. I'm trying to remember the tribe he comes from, which is, it's not right that I don't remember the tribe. Anyway, if it comes to me, I'll tell you. He took me up to this wiki up, and he said, we look at life with different eyes. I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, look at me now. And he ran between the trees. And he said, what do you see? I said, well, sometimes I see you and then I don't. He said, now you're looking with the eyes of a wolf. So I didn't really understand what he was talking about. So, the Marengo, the Marengo tribe that was near, So he took me over a bluff, and he says he had a wiki up, which is a birch bark teepee, and he said, lay in the grass and tell me what you see. I said, well, I can only see the top of the wiki up, and the rest is the grass is tickling my nose. He said, now you're seeing with the eyes of a mouse. So I still didn't understand anything. So he said, come into the wiki up. So my daughter was playing outside, and she was only little. And he took me into the wiki up, and even now telling this story, it's quite disturbing. He basically just took me to the center of the wiki up, and he took his hand, and he just cracked me across the face, and he put this big knife up against my throat, and he held it there for several seconds, and then he dropped it. And the last thing I heard him say when he dropped onto the ground into a sitting position was, "What do you see now?" And I freaked. I screamed. I mean, I didn't stop screaming, I think, for 10 minutes. Yeah. And when I finally calmed down, he said, "See," he said, "you're in the center of the wiki up, and your fear and anger blind you." And I sat down next to him, and then he told me a story. And that changed my entire life. I went on another way. And I realized I knew nothing. All I'd learned was nothing, a handful of nothing. And, you know, one day we're all going to go, but I'm damned if I'm going to go without knowing.
Yeah.
I want to know as much as I can. I'm hungry. And I think when we say we've stopped, then we become the gurus, then we become the masters. I've never met a master yet. I just meet people who are aspirants because if you lose that lust for life, you know, everything can teach you. You can't be beyond this. So that's it. So I went from that, and I came back to England, and I was cut a long story short. I was working as a chef, a night chef in a factory, serving 250 guys, making music during the day. And then I met my writing partner, Dave. We had some wonderful periods of music, and we had a band at that time. And then we just split up. Life split us up, and I ended up running a restaurant in Primrose Hill. I was the head chef of Manor Restaurant, which is the oldest vegetarian restaurant in London, really. But I ran that for about 4 or 5 years. And then I was offered a job running a radio station in Yugoslavia. And I was in the wrong relationship again. I painted myself into a corner. I had 6 cats and the wrong relationship. And I asked the moon, in the full moon, I asked the mother, the great mother, I said, "Can you get me out of here?" And the next day, someone came to in the restaurant and offered me a job running a radio station in Belgrade. And I took it. I took the last plane into Belgrade before they make it a no-fly zone.
Okay.
That's my luck. Yeah.
Wow.
So I ran the station and spoke with and became, I became Vukodlak, that means the wolf man. And my programs became, because I love funk and all that stuff and groove. And it became like they were having house parties off the back of the program. And anyway, they bombed the radio station in the war. All the other DJs ran back home to America and Europe and England. And I stayed, and my boss, Dragan Radonic, he was a great master. I thought all my masters would be Indian, but no. He was Serbian. He was a great master. And he said, "We make war for peace." He says, "Sye, why do you stay?" I said, "Because my heart is bigger than my brain." He said, "Welcome. We love you." So I stayed. And what was great was suddenly I was, I'd be making a lot of money, and then I had no money. And the Serbian people looked after me. They kept me alive. I remember saying to one woman, "I can't pay for this food." She says, "Fuck your money. We love you. What the hell are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And that was so beautiful to realize these people have values that we've lost in the West. And I believe we will go back to them. Anyway, I stayed there right through the war. And then I took mafia money. It was mafia money. It was blood money. And I went around the world interviewing celebrities. James Brown, John Lee Hooker, B.B. King, the Neville Brothers, Bjork, Led Zeppelin. I mean, everyone. Even Gary Glitter. Yeah, good to be back. So
hang on, we're kind of going really far further into your experience. But so you lived through the war,
Yeah.
I don't know many people that have lived through the war and come out the other side. Can you just tell us talk a little bit about that experience? Because that also molded you, didn't it? Gave you ideas and.
Yeah. What was incredible was that I was running the radio station finally on my own, and it happened at 3 o'clock in the morning. I was sitting with my engineer over Republic Square, and it was snowed in, and I just thought, what the hell am I doing in my life? And I just asked the power. I said, show me what I should do. And the idea came, interview celebrities and broadcast it through a 3-sided war. We had a 3-sided. Nobody knew who they were fighting in the end, So that's when I went and took the mafia. I went to Dragan Radnich, and he went around with a gun and took the money. And I thought, should I do this? I thought, well, no, actually, it's turning bad into good. Let's. What do I care? My intentionality is what is my reality. Your intentionality creates your reality, and my reality is to create love and kindness, as any old hippie would. And I believe in peace and love. That's the only thing that you take with you anyway. So I went through the war, and I was looked after. I was literally looked after by so many people. They fed me. They kept me alive. They loved me. I used to run supplies in through the borders, illegal supplies, because Milosevic was killing his own people. Food, powdered milk, drugs that they needed, insulin. There was no insulin. People were dying. So we smuggled. I was a smuggler, and that's how I lived for 6 years. And then then a miracle happened for me. I escaped death again when I did I was doing a commodities deal with Bruno Vlahovic, who was the head of the militia. He was doing commodities, and I did a deal with a Chinese company for a guy in Kosovo who actually didn't have the money, and it was for an 80-foot container for Philip Morris to bring cigarettes to Serbia, and I did the deal with the Tong, and then Bruno came into the office and said, "Who did the deal with the Tong?" I said, "I did." He says, "Why?" I said, "Well, I did it with this guy in Kosovo because he has this money." He says, "He doesn't have the money. I was head of police in Kosovo, and he doesn't have the money, and you're a dead man." Because they have to take the container onto the dock. They can't get it back. They've lost all that money. And wherever you are in the world, they'll have you.
Wow.
So for 24 hours, I lived like that. That was one of my incidences. And then I got a phone call in the office that says, "Hi, this is whoever it was. I can't remember now. And we're about to take the container out into the dock. You want us to do that?" I says, "No, it's cancelled. Oh God, we celebrated for 4 days, man. I mean, it was crazy. I drank more Slivovitz and I got blood in my body. But and having gone through, and I think what's pertinent to say about, and what I didn't say about Serbia was, prior to Serbia, I went through a suicide attempt in my life. I got very low, and I lost my daughter, I'd lost my family, lost everything. I ended up in a hotel room, and I'd got all the pills and all the narcotics I needed to, end my life. And I thought, well, I know about other lifetimes. There's no provability, but I know. And I thought, well, I've had enough. I've blown this lifetime. So I sat in the end of the bed with pills and water. I thought, okay, here we go. I'm going to take the pills, drink the water, and lay back and just go. I've lost my daughter. I can't breathe. I can't sleep. Everybody's gone from my life. And just to that point, and this is what I'm saying this because anybody listening now who's lost hope, don't lose hope.
Yeah.
Everything, there's a power that is watching you. And if you don't think that, turn the TV off and go inside. You'll feel it. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So the TV was there with the sound off. And just as I'm about to do this and take the pills, a film comes on, and it's Zorba the Greek, with Anthony Quinn. It's an old bloody movie, and I thought, oh, I like that movie. okay, I'll just watch it and then I'll kill myself after the movie. So it's nuts, I know. So I'm sitting there like an idiot with these pills and water in my hand, about to kill myself. And you know, Zorba turns around to Anthony Quinn, turns around to Alan Bates, and he says, "Boss," because he basically screwed up Alan Bates. He was going to inherit an island, and Anthony Quinn said he would help him, but he blew it. And Alan Bates said, "What am I going to do? What am I going to do? It's a mess." He said, "Boss, life is trouble. Only death is no trouble. Life means taking your shirt off and go look for trouble." And I thought, wow. And I threw the pills down the toilet. And I thought, you know what? I'm trouble, and I'm going to keep looking for it. I'll see what happens. And just one miracle happened after another, man. I mean, just give life a chance. It's really beautiful. I mean, again, you know, we're the spark that ignites fifth dimensional reality. We are the spark, but we have to be brave. If you're not brave, if you don't have courage, give up now. Just give up now. You ain't going to do nothing. You won't go outside the house, but you've got to have the yichus, we call it in Yiddish, to say, and not everyone's going to like you. If you start doing things because you want people to like you, I mean, I was called the bad boy of yoga. People hated me. You know, then I became a yoga elder. They hated me even more because I'm a bad boy, and now I'm approved of, you know, by the IYN and looked upon as some kind of master. I don't know. I'm more like a masturbator, but I don't know about master. But you know, you know, even when I was like in Israel, you know, I was on this big festival, and I'd had both my hips replaced because when I was younger, I could do things that nobody could do. They thought I was a great yogi. I wasn't. I was a contortionist. You know, I could fool anybody. You know, it's very easy to fool people. And so they thought I was a great master. So I buggered up both my hips, and I had 2 hip replacements. So I'm doing this big festival in Israel with my dear friend Nia, who's a great pioneer. I love Nia. And if you're listening, Nia, I love you and all your family. I miss you guys and all my Israeli family. And anyway, I was about to go on stage. There's about 500 people there. And my ego says to me, it whispers to me, don't take the stick, because I use a walking stick, and I still do from time to time because it hurts sometimes.
Yeah.
So I thought, who's saying this to me? It's my ego. So, you know, I said, screw you. So I took the stick and I go out. So as I go out to the mic, they're all appalled to see I'm with a stick. So they go, up and mad, what have you gone? What have you done? You know, all this. So at the back, there's some young Israelis, and they're all like, you know, doing back flips, splits, and doing all that, just showing off, you know, stuff that I used to do. Okay. Yeah. Because you all do it when you're young. You like show off and you think that's, you know, I've made it, and you realize you're just a knob. And so I said, well, if you want to learn how to be an idiot, I'm the best teacher in the world. I'll tell you how to be an idiot, okay? When you're young, you do the back flips into the splits, and then you spring forward into a crouch, okay? And you do that repeatedly at speed. And people think you're incredible, but you end up, like me now, with 2 hip replacements. So they started to laugh. And the people at the back, you know, who were doing all that stuff, they started to calm down. Because here's the thing. It's okay to show off, you know, but don't put people down.
Yeah.
Lift people up.
Absolutely.
You know, that's a point. So, yeah, so I got involved with, sorry, mate?
I was just saying, empowerment is everything, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. We've had enough of ego. I mean, how many thousands of years have we had of ego in the human race? And look what it's doing to our lives now. You know, if you really look at these people, look past the titles, who are they? And what are they really? If you strip them down, put them on a desert island, you know, would you really want to share a meal with them?
What are they inside? What have they got inside? It's all very well having all this exterior, but the exterior constantly changes. It's what you've got inside that counts.
Absolutely.
That's
But do you think your experience in life, in terms of the family you were born into,
yeah,
you know, you've had that, you've forgive me for saying this, you've met some really famous people,
yeah,
and you've kind of seen both sides of life, where people are caught up in that egoic self, in terms of the razzmatazz of Hollywood, you know, the music industry, etc., etc. But you've kind of been in a unique position to experience both sides, and obviously describing what you've been through, living through a war. You've been to the top and you've been to the bottom of reality. So yours in itself is a unique perspective.
yeah.
So that's
Well,
just that's an observation from the little I know of you. I know we did a session the other day for 3 hours, but
that was wonderful.
we really connected. But it's interesting to see your perspective on life. It's just fascinating.
I just don't think that. Look, if you can't hang out and say hello to somebody on the street that you've never met before and have a cup of coffee, you've got a long way to go. I don't care what your title is. I don't care what you've learned online. Who cares?
Yeah.
You know, I get all these cockamamie teachers who got a certificate in India from some fool that they met on the Ganges, you know, and they think that's it, or they can do incredible things with their body. It doesn't mean anything. Can you sit with somebody and not talk about yoga and just have a cup of coffee and ask them about themselves? You know, to lift them up, do something for somebody else. You'll feel wonderful. You know, to be happy, make someone else happy. You know, and in the world of show business, like my father was a famous singer. Like I think I told you the story, both of you, but I'll tell the story again. We were at the Grosvenor Hotel, and it was my father's Frankie Vaughan. He was a well-known singer. He was in film with Marilyn Monroe and all of that. And he ran away from Hollywood. And when I said, "Why did you leave Hollywood?" he says, "Oh, the Americans have got no value, son." You know, that's what he said. He wouldn't say any more. And we went to the Grosvenor, and I think I was about, I don't know, 10 or 11, something like that. And he said, "Oh, look at these people around." He described these. I won't mention who he described, but there was very well-known celebrities. And he says, "You see all these people?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "They're like dwarfs, midgets. They're base." I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "Inside there's nothing left. It's all projection.
Yeah.
It's all ego." He said, "Do you want to go fishing?" I went, "Yeah, all right." And we snuck out the back of the Grosvenor and we went down the West Country fishing. He just disappeared with me. And I loved him for that, because he would just talk to anybody and just shoot the shit. And I thought that was beautiful. I think if I see that ability with people, it's become so ostentatious life now. It's
and that's genuine as well, because your dad was genuinely was a people person. My mother met him, and she said she loved him. When I said she was coming on, she was so excited, and she met her dad, and he took time out to meet people. How many famous people? I mean, we do see it occasionally, but you know, a lot of people don't have the time to connect with people, us normal people, if you like to say. Well, I'm not sure if I'm normal.
I think that's in general, like across the board.
Yeah.
I don't think there's just famous people. Yeah. People just don't seem to have the time anymore just to connect to people. Yeah. I mean, the amount of time, silly little things, but I like standing in a shop, like if you're in the shop in a queue, I always like to make conversation, especially if I'm standing on my own, or let people in front of me. The amount of people that just stand there and look at you like, oh, whether they're just taken back, but it's like, it's lovely to do something called just to chat.
But you see, what you're saying, Leeann, is so beautiful. It's like not to listen to the media, not to listen to gurus, not to listen to celebrities, but to listen to our own hearts. Yeah. You know, if you listen to your own heart, it'll tell you, be nice. Come on, what's wrong with you?
It sings its own tune, doesn't it? And it's a beautiful
one. It's a very sweet thing, and the birds remind us every dawn. Every dawn they sing before the sun comes up. You know, they don't know the sun's going to come up. They just keep bloody singing for it. And in the darkest time, we've got to keep singing, because I swear to God, there's a dawn coming now.
Yeah.
That you've no idea. It's like, I know it's coming, and I'm so excited. So that's why I think the musicians, the creatives, the sensitives, we're the left of Mark field. We always have been, because we can't be controlled. And what's lovely is that when we get processed from the age of 7. They process us from the age of 7. They try to control us from the age of 7. By the time we leave university or high school, we spend the rest of our time in therapy trying to find out who the hell we are.
Yeah.
So it's the time now. That's why I love your show and what you're doing, because you're giving people an opportunity to go, maybe there's another way.
Yeah.
Maybe there's another way. And if you've only got so many years to live, why give them away to something you don't really want to do? That doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
Not in my book. So yeah. And I think you should end up as an old bugger with loads of lovely stories to tell.
Yeah. But you never want to be sitting there going, what happened if I did? You want to be sitting there telling the stories.
That's right. You get rid of that stuff. That's right. It's like, I work with Palestinians. I worked with them for years. 20 years I was there, and my pain is that I can't be there because of the last 2 years. But there's some of the greatest gurus I've ever met are in Palestine. Locked down, shut down. They go through hell, and so many, I don't even start mentioning their names because of security, but my heart goes, and I know some of them are watching now, my heart goes to you guys. I love you. And you're my family, And as a Jew, I was born a Jew. I'm not a practicing religious Jew. I think, every Jewish person, after the Holocaust and all of that, you didn't learn anything? Come on. You got to, get clever. Get clever and start supporting one another and start supporting the world. And we should all be doing that. We've all been through in our history. The English, they had the hell beaten out of them, and they rallied. The stories of the Second War and the First War, what the English did, make you cry.
Yeah.
How they rallied. They were incredible. The spirit of Bodicea, and how they loved each other.
Absolutely.
So we get split up by the media. We get split up by values that are no good. So you can say, what is my basic values? And mine, Paul and Leeann, is that, is to create an environment that is loving, creative, and life-supporting. And anything else produces disease. It does. It creates a disease. And the body replicates. This is the corporeal body. And the God is inside. It's not outside. This is the temple.
Yeah.
And what we think and how we act and how we are. My dear brother Dave, we always talk about, I met this person and la, 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 la. And how if you give something, you get a whole load back. And it's a very extraordinary experience. So
we were saying the other day, it's contagious, isn't it?
Yeah, it's instant karma. It's instant karma, as they say, instant karma.
Absolutely.
Carol's put on here. Hi, Carol. Thank you for watching. She's put, your father was also a peacemaker in Easterhouse.
Yeah, that's right.
And do you think he's looking down on you with pride that why it wasn't published? Not sure
why it wasn't published?
Yeah. Or why wasn't it published? It's
well,
a shame that people didn't know.
They did know, but they didn't like my dad didn't give a shit about politics. What he gave a shit about was human beings.
Yeah.
And that's why they love him so much. I mean, I remember being in Glasgow a couple of times, and I took a cab, and they realized who my dad was, and they wouldn't take the money. That's how his legacy lives on. It's amazing. And I've got many, many dear friends up in Glasgow, Mark Brown and people like that, and Callum and loads and loads and loads who Mark does incredible work. incredible, with factions that society says, oh, forget about them. You know, each one is a potential of change for the entire race. You can't forget about anybody. Everybody's important. And that's a reality we need to come back into. But my dad, he went up there. There was this thing with Easter House. It was this awful estate they built out with no entertainment, no center to it. And the kids were bored out of their heads. And they fell into the sort of clan regime, the toy, the drummy. There were some of the gangs, and they were marching on Glasgow with machetes and guns and knives.
Wow.
And nobody could stop them. There was a real to-do going on. My pop, who had been a bad boy in Liverpool, he says, I'll go up there. And they said, oh, Frank, you can't do that. You're a celebrity and everything. He said, oh, the hell with that. And he went up there, and he went up in front of the boys, and he promised to build them a center. And one of the boys afterwards, he said we were going to slay him. We were ready to kill him. But we fell in love with what he said, and we put our arms down. And he would just do that. Sorry.
Oh, how beautiful.
That is beautiful, yeah.
Yeah. So I get very choked up with him, and I had a great master in him. I can't do any less. I wouldn't want to shame him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. But your journey is so unique from your father's journey as well. It must have been difficult living under your father's shadow, being so successful and such a loving man and such an inspiration to you. But your experiences with what you've had in your own life are so unique, and what you've created as well. I mean, we haven't even talked about yoga. Is it Yogabeats? Yogabeats?
Yeah, Yogabeats. Yeah.
You know, and that is fantastic what you've created there. We also want to get into about the revealing breathing as well.
Sure.
In the sessions that Leeann and I had, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So, can you talk to us a little bit about Yogabeats, how it was created? And
sure. I mean, I was Yogabeats was created out of a war in Serbia. I was teaching soldiers yoga for food in the middle of literally a war zone, and it was really hell. I used to whack up James Brown on the stereo and just do my practice, and the soldiers just said, well, what are you doing? Could we join in? So I said, sure. Because in war, you just take as much drugs as you can, or try to divert your attention because you don't know how long you got. So, yoga is my drug. It was all it was. It wasn't something that I did as a serious practice. It was just something I took rather than take something else. And so they joined me. So they paid me in food.
I love it so much. Sorry, I'm just tickling and laughing at myself. Carry on. Sorry.
Yeah. So I found my way back to England by really sagacious route, which is a long story which I won't go into now. And I ended up in London. I came back in '96. It was a great time for music and stuff. And I just thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'll do exactly what I've done in Serbia. I'll just whack up the music. And yoga at that time was really serious. It was, everything was silent. You walked into a silent studio, and nobody even farted. It was incredibly boring. And I just thought, no, I'm going to do it with a DJ. So we got DJ, drummers. I got a VJ, a video jockey, and we created what was called Yogaholics first. Yeah. Then it became Yogabeats, and it took off. And I got banned by the yoga community. They said, don't go to his class. He's destroyed 5,000 years of yoga tradition. That came out in the press. So I was called the bad boy of yoga at that time. But everybody came, dancers, clubbers, they would all come to my classes. And we did the big chill, we did Glastonbury. I mean, it was really big. So that was fantastic. And then I don't know how the hell it happened, but they made me into a yoga elder, which is like this high sort of things that you can get. And people started taking me seriously, which was even funnier. So, you know, I'd come out and be even more extreme because I just wanted to break all this pomposity. There's a huge amount of pomposity in yoga, and you look at it now, and you think, well, this is not yoga. I just want to say this, by the way. What yoga's become is acrobatics, okay, contortionism, and I did that. I've got pictures. If anybody want to ever see them, and I used to fool people that was, you know, yoga, but it's not. It's contortionism, and it has, you know, yoga union means I can sit with someone, have a cup of coffee, and make them feel happy. That's yoga. That's one of the best positions of all. You don't have to do anything. Or I just learn how to breathe, you know. How do I learn how to breathe? Okay, so to learn how to breathe, stop breathing. And anybody listening now, just stop breathing for a few seconds. Just stop. Okay, are you stopping? Stop breathing. Don't breathe. Don't think about your next breath. Don't do it. Keep not breathing. Don't breathe. Now take a breath. And notice how good that feels.
Yeah.
It's so sweet. You know, we like Icarus, we get so far above ourselves. We get so far, we're so arrogant. So, oh, well, I'm breathing. Well, stop breathing. And if you're depressed, stop breathing. As soon as you take a breath, you're going to feel good. So, you know, I mean, it's so I used to teach it that way. You know, I'd always do it the other way around. And so, yeah, that's how Yogabeats happened. And then, you know, I've been traveling around all over the world teaching, working with convicts in Colorado, my dear, blessed Palestinian friends, and Israelis who I love, both sides I love. And there was a faction in Israel who do not believe in anything their governments say. They love the Palestinians. They want to be able to live with them. But that never gets to the West, and I've always been a voice to say that, even though people don't want me to. I don't care. And yeah, so peace exists, and it's just not publicized. The people who love war, look, the most money is made out of war, conflict, war, control, and we learn that from the age of 7. You know, we learn to fit into these ridiculous lifestyles. Nobody's happy. They're not happy. They got the house, they got the car, they got the wife, they got the this, they got the that, or they got the husband, you know, whatever. Yeah. And you look at them, you go, oh yeah, because you know they usually ask me to train them. I can see it's not all they want is a plaster, you know, over the wound a little bit, but they don't really want to dig in. Yeah, you've got to be really in pain. Well, you know that, Paul, and you know that, Leeann. If a client really wants to get better, they've got to be really in pain. They've got to go, you know what? I surrender. Then it happens.
Yeah.
But if they're going, oh, well, what can you do for me? That means they're holding on to their psychodrama and they're hoping you're going to do it for them. There's nobody on this planet who can do it for you. It's karmically impossible. So you've got to willingly surrender. You know, and that's the point. So yeah, that was Yogabeats, and it's kind of morphed now with my partner Amanda. She's an incredible metaphysician, and we're you know, and I was a pagan for many years and a witch, involved, you know, years ago. I was involved in covens, and so I brought in the you know, the other side of it, the metaphysics, into yoga and what we do. So we do these lovely retreats where we bring in the sacred and the physical. You know, it's all one or the other. It's all the same thing, as you guys know. So
Amanda's just put up to see that comment.
Which she says, "Oh, stop! Ha ha
ha!" Yeah. So can we? We are supposed to be kind of an interactive, and we invite people to ask questions. I'm kind of so engrossed in what you're saying, David, but there's a question here from Sean. It's going back to a comment you said a little bit earlier. Yeah, that's the one. Sean C. Hi, Sean. Thanks for watching. David, how do you navigate this life being highly sensitive and hurt by things so easily? How do you?
Oh, okay.
Is there something
How do you navigate it? Well, it's kind of like it's kind of like, you know, when a swan comes down onto when it's flying and it comes down to the water and it kind of skips along for a little bit. You give yourself, you kind of just give yourself a little conditioning into it, bit by bit, but don't stop. You've got to say, I commit. I commit. I make a marriage with this. I will marry my fear, false evidence appearing real. And you'll see, my friend, that as you go slow, don't go fast, don't freak yourself out, bit by bit. If it takes a month, if it takes 2 years, it doesn't matter. Who cares? The fact of the matter is, you know, there's something, whatever it is, I don't know what it is. There's something that's a barrier to you and you're frightened of it. So do it like little steps, like a kid. If you have a child, it's going to learn to walk towards you. And it starts to walk, it toddler, and it falls. You don't just say, "Oh, screw you," and you walk out the room. You say, "Try again." Okay? And we say to ourselves, and also I asked you the question too. What was this guy's name? I'm so sorry. What was his name?
Sean.
If someone came into the room now and walked into the room and sat down on the chair near you and looked a lot like you, and you looked at him and just realized it was you with the same problem, what would you say to him? That would be loving, that would be encouraging, because that's what you say to yourself. Talk to yourself in the third person. Don't go, "Oh, this is me." There's so many different compartments inside of ourselves. And each part of us, we have to honor. That's why you're with people who are loving, they honor all of you. Even the, you know, I mean, like a baby. You know, when you have a baby, it takes a shit and it stinks and you got to change it. You don't go, "Oh God, he made a shit. Let's give it away to an orphanage." It's your child. So we also make a stink and we fuck up, and it's okay. And my teacher Clara, she was a great master. She says, "Oh, darling, you fuck up. You know, she didn't care." This is don't get upset about these things, because our society, because of, you know, TikTok and all of that, everybody's going to be squeaky clean and really together and really on it. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Catch those people first thing in the morning, you know.
So much more of an illusion today. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's
We
right.
have another one here from Paul Cook. "Hi, David. You speak about a dawn that is coming. What do you mean by that?"
Okay. Well, what we've been through in terms of the world right now in the last 2 years has been very dark for many, many people. So much suffering, so much pain. And without even going to the specifics, I don't need to, people have been in hell. And what has been lovely is that people have been looking out for each other. And I've seen such acts of kindness that I never saw prior to this, actually. That's beautiful. But this is a stage. Life is always moving. Life is always changing. This is just one part of a journey. And when we go down to the bottom, you know, if you put new water into a pond, all the dirty crap comes up from the bottom. Okay? As you keep putting new water in until it clears. And inevitably this will clear. And what's lovely about this time now, although I'm not talking in any way politically or in any other way, what's lovely about this time now is that people have had enough. I see people now on my street saying hello to each other. They haven't said hello for the last 15 fucking years. You know, I mean, they're saying hello to me. I'm like frightened. Say, "Oh my God, am I back in Serbia or in Palestine?" You know, people being nice. Because they're really lovely in Palestine. They're gorgeous people. And anywhere where there's conflicts, you'll find people are gorgeous. They're really gorgeous because there's no other option. So yes, I believe that's coming up. Huh?
It's also the first time humanity has gone through something as a collective, isn't it? You have wars and that going on in all different parts, but this is the first time everybody on this planet has gone through something at the same time.
That's exactly right. And that sort of universality that Leeann is talking about is the truth. We're all singing from the same songbook, and what must follow is the values that this has created. You know, when you squeeze something, when you squeeze an orange, you don't get prune juice. So, you know, when you squeeze a person, you find out really what they're about. And what people are really about is they just want to be loved. When you get past the ego, you get past, you know, because the ego says, I need a bigger house, a bigger car, you know, more land, more children, you know, and I need and I need a bigger nose and a bigger whatever it is. And then you go to a certain level and you think, actually, I don't need any of that. I just like going around garden centers touching flowers. I'd like a dog. You know, I don't want that bloody job in the city. I know it makes a lot of money for me, but I'm so sick of, you know, snorting cocaine up my nose. And I'd really just like to have a simple life. So what happens is with a lot of my clients, they just go, I had a dear lady today, she's a dear sister of mine, up in Nantwich, and she just had enough. She's got, and what a heroine, what a great being. But to do that, it takes a lot. And these last 2 years has given people power. It's given people power. And we're going to form a very different society that will come out of this. And I hope, my prayer, it will be one which is benign, because there's a memory of it not being benign. And so that's bringing human values back into play.
Yeah.
Yeah. And out of everything that everyone's been through, one thing is everyone should have compassion for everyone else, because it's something that everyone has been touched by. So even if there's all the things that are going on, just to have compassion for the person on the street, the next door neighbor, you know, anyone that you don't know, everyone's heart's been touched.
You know, the Jewish people, the Jews in Europe, they went through 2,000 years of hell. I mean, hell. Yeah. You know, and for me, I always say, when people say, "Oh, well, why don't you believe in, you know, the for instance, Israel and all of that and the politics of that?" I said, I'm a Jew. I was born a Jew. I know the history. If we didn't learn from that, when are we ever going to learn? You know, so there's a huge movement in Israel, and everybody should know about that, who absolutely adore peace and work hard for it. And I stand with them, and I stand with people all over the world who do that, the ones who are annihilating Native Americans. I work with Native Americans and some incredible people up in Manitoba. We were going to bring them over actually to Israel, but Netanyahu wouldn't allow it, of course. Yeah. But these regimes, they're despots, they fall. Just like Milosevic fell, you know, and we thought he's never going to move. Hague trials, it's the end of it. So life favors the good. It favors, and that's what I mean by the dawn. So there's a long answer to you.
Yeah.
I hope that's okay.
Perfect. That's perfect. So getting back to Yogabeats, can we also, for those of you that are not aware of David's site, can I just share this on our, so we'll go off to a little boxes to the side, David. I'm just going to add this onto the stream. So this is your page, Yogabeats. Okay. There's obviously bits and pieces about your journey on here. That's a great picture, by the way. Your tattoos. I'm hoping you don't mind me talking about your tattoos.
No. I was basically a canvas for a Serbian tattooist, and he basically kept me fed and alive and paid if I would allow my body to be tattooed by him for the mafia. I was basically an advert for the mafia, so you know, I used to have long sessions with him, which was but it was also a way as a pagan that I could mark on my body time, because time marks us. we may not be marked on the outside, we were marked on the inside, but I chose to have mine marked on the outside. So yeah, they all mean something. They were all, quite a lot of them were moments where I almost died. I went through moments of death. But that's the only way you can never feel alive, is to go close to death.
Yeah.
And what's the only thing that can die is a human ego.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that can die. Nothing else can die. You can't die. You're an endless soul. Of course, you may not believe what I'm saying, but there'll be a time when you remember this. Or you may do.
So one of the things on the website is your revealing breathing.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit on that, please?
Sure. I was dying from ulcerated colitis, tumors, stuff like that. I was in a really, really bad way. The medical profession wanted to give me a colostomy bag, an intestinal bypass. And I just thought, I was a young man, and I said, no, there's no way I want to do that. I want to, I'd rather just live off, a few spliffs a day and try and get by that way than do that. And then I heard about these Tibetan healers who, trained in Tibet, and they said they could help me. And it just sounded like a poppycock. And I went to see them. And not only did I feel better after the first session, I got progressively better. I had 10 sessions. And then I went back to the St. Mark's Hospital on the City Road, which is no longer there now. And the men in white coats, they put berry meal up my ass, down my throat. And then they came back in the room after about 2 hours, looking very worried with their clipboards, said, "What did you do?" I said, "Well," I told them what I did. And I said, "Well, why are you asking me?" They said, "Well, there's nothing wrong with you. You have a complete clean bill of health. We've looked right through your body. We don't understand why you've had such a radical change. It doesn't make any sense." I said, "Well, that seems to clearly be your problem. I'm out of here. Goodbye." Because I realized that they didn't know. And they were appalled that they didn't know. And I didn't realize what it was. And I then went into metaphysics and studying different types of transcendent realities and how it affects the corporeal body and how your thoughts create your body. And so, if you think down, you're going to be down, think up, it's just the same.
Yeah.
When someone's in love, they're like, oh, and they're running around it. Well, it's just a thought, it's affecting your body that way. So I started to get into that. And then I started practicing it. And I learned as much as I could from what I could gather at the time. And then other people wanted to do it. So I said, I'll try a few sessions. And it was extraordinary. It was really extraordinary. And now I've been doing it for 30 years, over 30 years now. And I have some enormous clients. It's really bizarre for me around the world who just drop into my little flat and fly in, I got some people were flying in last week. And and I don't say it to show off. I mean, I'll do it with anybody, I don't care. And I charge for that. And I say, this is my price. And if you don't have the money, I do it for nothing. And people say, well, what do you mean? I said, because you're not the source of my supply. And I say this to any therapist. If you make a person or your client the source of your supply, it's kind of already over. It's just diminishing returns slowly. Because the gift came to you via life. And via life will bring you. So if someone doesn't pay me, life pays me another way. It's really beautiful. It's like things happen for me. Yeah. And it really is. I mean, I had, Dave, my brother, I injured my shoulder really badly in a yoga studio, and I couldn't drive my car because it wasn't power steering, and I needed a power steering car. And we were talking about it, and then I said, "Oh, it'll happen. I know, it's going to happen. If it needs to happen, it'll happen." And then ridiculous thing. I think I told you, Leeann, didn't I, the story about, one of my clients, and he was getting a bigger car and everything. He said, "Oh, take my car. You know, it's a power steering. It's a Nissan Note. It's not a big car, but it's just fabulous. It's an automatic with power steering." And Amanda and Dave were like, "We can't believe what's going on." I said, "There you go. It happens. It goes again." And the reason I'm saying that is not that I'm showing off. I just want everybody who's listening to know, if you allow God, if you allow the universe, whatever you want to call it, doesn't have that these names are trading names for the sake.
Yeah.
If you allow that power to step in, not only will you be safe, because there's nothing safe in life, but not only will you be secure and safe, you'll have everything you want, whatever you need. But the religion is reading it and knowing when you give and when you don't. Okay. So if someone's taking the piss, for instance, you go, enjoy your life.
Yeah.
But if someone's really, they want something and they don't have, just do it. You'll be taking, you can't make a person, you see, life is the source of your supply, not another person.
Yeah.
And people make this mistake again. I see witches and pagans, metaphysicians going, "Well, I wrote a book and I did a story and I did this and I did that," and they start charging huge amounts of money. And then guess what happens? They become egomaniacs, and they get lost in their own ego and they stop growing, because the point is that we're growing and we don't know. I don't know. What do I know? I'm just telling you a bit of my story, but I'm as much student as you guys and anybody else. And I have a lust for life, because, and if you stop being a student, you lose the lust for life, the appetite, and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
You're forever learning though, aren't you?
Yeah.
You'll never, ever know everything. Everyone you come across will enhance your life. If you look at it, even the bad moments, they make you grow. So there's beauty in everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Remember I told that story about, I think I told you both about the story about I went to camp to get some cash, and there was it's hysterical. And there was a woman, she was kind of begging, and with a couple of other people, and say, "Oh, I've got no money," and everything. And anyway, so I thought, well, I'll get the money out. I'll give them. So anyway, I turned around and she's there going like this, like that. So I bung her the money. And she goes, "Oh, top man." And she grabs me. And, oh, God, she stank. But anyway, she let me go. But I felt so great. Of course she stank, because she hadn't had a shower. I was like floating down the street. I was so happy. I was feeling this. Because, when you want to be happy, make someone else happy. And it's just a very simple thing. It's just real simple. And then there's a truck on the other side. And there's like horns beeping. And this guy is leaning out of the truck. And he's swearing at the guy behind him and saying, "If you don't turn that, your horn off, I'm going to come around and knock your block off." And he's like doing all this. So I'm thinking, what's happening? So I'm always curious. So I go around, and there's a guy behind this truck, and he's in a gold Lamborghini. Now this is a Lamborghini. He's had sprayed gold. You couldn't get more ostentatious. Okay. And he's got a sort of like a bubble top to this car. And he's a little sort of diminutive man with no hair. And he's fuming, and he's beating us all like this, saying, "Move." And the guy's going, "Listen, I don't care if you are in a gold Lamborghini, I'm going to knock your block off." And I started laughing. I couldn't stop laughing. I became like, I was laughing my head off, because I was thinking, he will never in his life feel the joy that I'm feeling right now, because he didn't give a penny away. He hasn't given anything away. And he's sitting in his gold Lamborghini. He's being threatened by you can't get past this truck. What are you going to do? And the guy's also threatening to knock his block off. So I mean, with all that he's got nothing. And you see, it's the illusion again. And it's hysterical. We've got to laugh at these things. And I think people will look back at this age now, and they'll just fall about laughing on one level. I mean, it's kind of tragic on another. But honestly, it's these puppets that are ruling our lives, and we're allowing ourselves to become like them. Come on. just take a look in the mirror and just, really take a good look, because all we really want is what we wanted when we were little babies. We wanted to be fed. We wanted to be loved. We wanted to take a shit and go to sleep and wake up and then play,
But as babies, we weren't in here. We were in a here. If
Right.
we live in here, we don't live in fear. We live in love, and we live in the moment. The heart doesn't
That's
know
it.
anything else.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
We've got Victoria. She's put a comment on here. I haven't looked back since I had my session with David. It's changed my world for the better.
Ah.
Yeah.
So,
She changed my world for the better. Everybody does. I'm a participant with it. I didn't do anything. I was literally a guide to her, and I helped. And that's the point that we, you both of you, do this the same as I in different ways. That we are guides to people, and I think it's very important that we stay humble, that we keep humility. Because it allows the universe to keep that flow going. It's lovely. It's very lovely. To lose that, you've lost the whole thing. You really have. So thank you.
Emma said she's interested in having in the breathing training or a session. So can you talk a little bit about the revealing breathing and what to expect for someone within a session? Because
within a session, I give a sort of mini education. I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea what's going to happen. Some people go across several lifetimes, future and past, and they go to other dimensions, and it's extraordinary. And these are I'm talking about logical people in corporations. It's quite interesting to see that. I give them an education, a mini education, as I gave both of you guys, as to vibrational reality. So I teach how you can measure through kinesiology different states of human consciousness, and it's measurable. Well, you say to yourself, well, why don't they do that? In the world of business and politics, well, you start to see. Who's who? That's why they don't allow it, and that's why they don't register it. Okay?
Yeah,
and homeopathy. And homeopathy because of petrochemical industry. Why do you think you're fucking with billions? Yeah. So I give people a little mini education as to how it works, real simple. And if people want to carry on with that, which is part of the training that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to do revealing breathing training so people become therapists. I want to spread this work because it just works. Not because I have a mission, but I like things that work. Then once they know that, then I explain to them about my ideas of the universe, God, the power, if you like. And I take them into basically get them nice and comfortable, and they lay down somewhere. I do it on Zoom, or you can do it in person, and get them to get permission from their guides. Sometimes they don't get permission, and I can't do the session. Maybe it's the next day that it's right for them. And then we work with angelic forces. And anybody listening to this, what does he mean, angelic forces?
Exactly. Well,
try some demonic ones. They're just as real. There's just the other way, okay? Okay, so they're all real. Which it depends which reality you want. You can choose. And then by a series of breaths. So normally when you breathe in, wait a little bit, and then you breathe out. Maybe you wait a little bit more, breathe in. This is a continuous flow. You in, out. Top of the breath, you breathe in. The bottom of the breath, you breathe out. So there's when you give the body what we call prana, life force, and you don't move the body, it doesn't know what to do with it. So it goes into automatic repair. Okay, so it has to do something with that energy. And whatever automatically needs to be repaired comes up in the mind in images. Now, the images are incredible because it may be ancestors who want to come through, who are part of that healing. It may be past life memories that need to be resolved. Well, I don't believe in past lives. Okay, don't believe in it. But when you face them and you see them, you probably have a different idea. I have a lot of people who don't believe in any of this. And I take them in and they come out going, what the hell was that? I was in the 17th century and I was about to have my head cut off. And okay. So I say, well, I don't believe in it either. They go, yeah, but it was like it was happening. I said, okay. So that's a reality. That's a state of reality. What are you going to do about it? So you have to resolve it because it has a residue within your own personality. And that residue can stay forever. Okay. As you know, my partner Amanda knows that I have residues in me from my past, and she has residues in her. And coupleship should result, we're together to heal each other.
Absolutely.
It's not just I love you, or it's a great orgasm. We're here to heal each other. Come on. That's what we're all here to do, and so everybody's looking for, I don't know what they're looking for, but it's not that. It's a heal. So that's what it is. And then when you come out of that, you see, oh, okay. And you can see a point to where you are, and you've got a blast. Some people just like the blast, and I never hear from them again. It's like a fun fair ride, So I only hear from them again when things get bad, and then I get a phone call.
Oh.
Well,
I'm coming back, and it's not bad.
Oh.
Mine's an addiction to the lovely bit.
Yeah.
Well, I had such a lovely healing with you. It was extraordinary. And it was really, I had a really fucked up shoulder that I screwed up in a studio. And it was like whatever you did, 30% better. It was, and that for my shoulder is, no, it's bless you, but that's how it works.
I've said so many times to people, you are the most natural healer I've ever met.
Stop it.
She is.
You have the most amazing ability, and without being trained, you are just pure channel.
Yeah.
It's love. That's all it is. It's just love.
Well, that love is very healing and very pure.
Yeah, it comes through.
I do feel blessed that I have you as my friend. I've said it across the airwaves.
Look, these tears flow very rapidly.
Okay, we'll start.
No, she's great. I was part of a healing circle years ago. The Goldmans were a very famous healing circle. Yeah. And I was talking to Phil, who's still a dear friend of mine. We were talking about prime metaphysics and everything. And his father burst into the room. He was a big 6'2", big fella, big Jewish fella. He went, he's a cool blimey cockney. He went, rubbish, sons, rubbish. It's all rubbish. He says, oh, feel the love. That's all you need, love. That's all you need is the love. And we thought, what a bloody idiot. And years later, I realized he was right.
He was right.
He was freaking right.
Yeah.
Just feel the love. That's it. It'll guide you. If you think that love is not intelligent, then you're stupid.
Yeah.
Then you're stupid because it is. That's what intelligence is.
I always say, I haven't got a pot to pee in, but I'm rich in here abundantly.
Yeah. That's it.
We've had so many comments, David, just from people that are saying how good a session was with you.
Oh.
So Shelley's put that as well. There's another lady, Claire McCarthy. Hi, Claire. And yeah, it's been awesome.
Is he Pain and Illusion?
He is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I'm still trying to process mine, David. I'm still in that processing stage of what it is I actually saw. And what that meant to me.
Once you know, or once you want to share it, I'm always here.
To me, that's always someone. And I was speaking to Amanda today, your partner, and we were forgive me for talking about you. Well, we were saying that's one of the things that you do, your aftercare with your clients. And that's something I was saying to a lady today that I read for. You don't need to pay me again. If you've got any problems, come and see me. I'll help you. And that's important.
Yes.
And that's really important. And I think for me, what you said really touched I spent 3.5 hours with you. 3.5 hours. Yeah. And
wonderful.
yeah, it was a wonderful experience.
You see, I believe in the future. I believe the dawn is coming now, where, you know, I'm patting ourselves on the back. People like ourselves, you, Paul, and Leeann, and myself, you get out of this client therapist paradigm, and you start to realize that your client is part of your family, and whatever time is there, so what? What are these timelines anyway? They're just measurements of. And if you get hungry, say, well, you know, have some food with me. You know, I mean, who cares? Yeah, I can't stand this business model that we try to impose upon everything, even our relationships. We put a business model on our relationship. They've got to be like this and they've got to be like that. And oh, come on, you know, let it be. Just let it be, like the song says. And you'll find that it settles in very well. There's a natural way to be, and that's the right way. And you know, it's like pain and illusion only happens when we make external changes. That's when pain and illusion really start to happen. You make some external change, you think, wow, sorted that out, sorted this out. You haven't sorted anything out. It takes you right to your core. So the only relationship you can ever have is the one we're having with ourselves. And that's the one we have with everybody else. You can't have another relationship. So when people say, oh, well, I haven't got a relationship in my life, bullshit. You are the relationship. And that's drawing to you whatever you need. So get that one right. Forget about dating online, all that crap. Okay, because that's take you nowhere fast. And just waste your time. Start to date yourself, marry yourself until death us do part. I will stand by you till death us do part. Okay?
Yeah,
if we don't fall in love with ourselves, how can we expect anybody else to love us?
Absolutely. Yeah. But there was no need to snigger at that comment, Leeann. I felt that.
Oh, I've just been telling you, love you.
Anyway, moving on swiftly. Also, we mustn't forget that you do retreats, David, as well.
I do I do retreats, yes, and revealing breathing training, and we basically we have the Yogabeats, and I've amalgamated it with loads of magical ceremonies and sacred ceremonies, and and meeting up with dear Amanda is just giving me the biggest excuse to do that and go full whack into it, because I was kind of getting bored with just yoga. You know, yoga's fine, it's lovely, and I make it fun. We drink tequila and go crazy and lose ourselves. But you know, the other side of me, which the yogis never saw, was my magical sacred side, which I used to practice on my own. And then meeting up with my partner, I was able to, I thought, you know, and she's so into it, so why don't we do it? So we're doing it together now, and it's fabulous. And plus I also want to teach, I want to show yoga's always been some guy or some woman on the road doing it, right? Mm-hmm. I love partnership. I really love it. I'm bored with this uni kind of one person on their own type deal thing. I just find it just, I don't know. It's old school for me. The new way is that we honor men should honor the women, and then the women get to be the power that they really are, because they're the life bringers.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you are. That's it. And when men find their place to that, yeah.
That's really predominant at the moment as well. That really is predominant at the moment.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing. It's very beautiful. So the balancing of that, it doesn't just mean that, you know, you have to be in a partnership with a woman. I mean, if you partnership with a man, you know, the sharing, you know, that it's not just you, you know, to share our lives is look, let me show you something right now. Okay, look. These are two. Can you see? You see these two?
Oh, look at those two.
They are beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, they're not going like, look at me, look at me, look at me. They're just like chilled out. They love each other. They fight, of course, but the thing is, you know, in the natural world is cooperation and find an equity, you know, and we have to find that with the mother. You know, every morning I go out and I take my shoes and socks off and put them on the bare earth and feel the great mother. She's our mother. Our corporeal body comes from her. Where do you think it came from? And make, you know, get that in the first. I like to get that in the first place. Then everything else can be on top of that. Of course, I don't have to do that, but then I feel lost. I feel actually lost, and people call it grounding. But yeah, you need to find your roots, whatever your roots are, and then you find, even if you don't have, maybe you didn't know your parents, maybe you didn't know your family, but you do have ancestors, and when you do that work, the ancestors come up through you, okay, yes, because they're part of your lineage, and to uncover that is fascinating for me, to help people to do that, and I love doing that. So yeah, I work tirelessly and I love it. You know, I don't know about time. You know, I don't know. It's as you guys know, it's wonderful.
David,
because for every soul you work on, it's a totally different experience, isn't it?
Yeah, it's another universe. I mean, it's like Star Wars.
It must have something in you as well, but I always say every soul that crosses your pathway unlinks something within you, ignites it, doesn't it? So when you're doing that kind of work, for you, it must blow your mind sometimes, and there must be a little bit of you that unravels each time you go on, because you go on the journey with them, don't you? I know my experience with you, it was like you were living it with me as I went through it, and it was you come out at the end of it, and it's such a beautiful experience. Although you were the one who went on it, it was beautiful to share it because you felt it and saw it as well.
It was incredible, and I always feel very honored by these things. It's like going to see the best cinema. It's like, you know, it really is. It's like Avatar, you know, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You know, because you don't know where you're going to go, and that person's going to go. What incredible vistas from the past, the future, and people don't know what's inside of them most of the time. And they say, well, I'm bored. Okay, we'll take a few breaths. I'm going to show you there's a whole kaleidoscope of experiences inside of you that you know. So I've had people from, you know, I had one woman from the head of the university in Madrid. She came to see me, and she was very kind of, well, what is this thing you do, you know? And I said, well, you can try it if you want. Yeah, but what's going to happen? I said, I've got no idea. She went back to Egypt, to the time, you know, I mean, at the time of the tombs described in detail. She came out and her mind was blown. She said, what did you do? I said, I didn't do anything. You did it. You breathed and you uncovered that which you needed. Your spirit needed to recount something, and she got something out of it that changed the direction of her life. Perfect. And when you change a direction, it's not a big thing. It's sometimes a very small point, but just getting that one point makes all the difference. You know, it's 1 degree. And 1 degree out, you're completely out. That's why people say, oh, you know, maybe I need a better car or more money, or it's in you. Whatever, it's within. The God within. There's no God out there. It's within you. Yeah. We are the gods. We have to fall in love with ourselves. Yep. And when we do, we become a gift, of course.
So David, I'm going to ask you a quick question. I can't believe we've been going for almost an hour and a half.
Oh, my God.
There's a lot of people watch the show that are just starting out on their journeys or just starting to come into this. So from your unique perspective, because you've led a very rich and eventful life on your journey, what would you tell your younger self to help you to where you are today? to that awakening that you feel you're at now?
Live dangerously, expect nothing, and be ready for everything.
Wow.
No, I love that.
I held back too long, Paul. I held back too long. Well, it wasn't too long, but I was so nervous. So now I go, so like, let's go. I met a guy called Dennis Banks. He was the head honcho of the Anishinaabe tribe. And he went on a sacred run with Tibetan monks from Kentucky to Moscow. And in the middle of the Serbian war, he gave me an interview. So I went with a Serbian cameraman up a mountain in San Francisco to take an interview from this incredible medicine man of his people. I mean, he was with in 73, I think it was, the Bureau of Indian Affairs. They blockaded and made a big thing worldwide and got a lot of the rights back for the tribes people. And he said that power is putting a medicine hoop around your feet and seeing yourself only through your own eyes. That means not through a politician, not through a doctor, not through a priest, your own eyes. You see yourself through your own eyes. And he said that peace means you live for 100 years happy. And his medicine animal is an eagle. So he blew my mind. And on the way down from the canyon, we're going down a canyon road. It's just like one road going down to the freeway. And my Serbian cameraman, Sye Yogabeats, he was a pragmatist, real, doesn't believe in anything, nothing airy fairy, not spiritual, just facts. And he's incredible guy. So I said to him, because Dennis Banks' totem is an eagle. So I said to him, "Wow, man, did you feel that? Wasn't that incredible?" And he says, "Ne, gospodine Stojanovic, no, Mr. Stojanovic." He says, "You're just too bloody emotional." He says, "He's just a guy, Човек. He's just an ordinary Човек." I says, "Really? You didn't feel anything? God, what's wrong with you?" And at that point, he's driving, right? An eagle comes out of the sky in front of the car. It's got a 12-foot wingspan, and it's about, I suppose, like 5 foot from the bonnet, and it's flying down in front of the car, proceeding in front of us, and we can see the little feathers on its back fluttering. And I said, "Okay, so what the fuck is that then? If I'm such, if I'm over emotional, what is that?" And he went white knuckles, and his ears went red. He didn't say anything. He was completely silent. We hit the freeway, and this eagle went up and circled with its mate for about 3 miles down the freeway. After that, we had the best luck. We interviewed James Brown, John Lee Hooker, B.B. King, the Neville Brothers, Bjork, Led Zeppelin, everybody,
Wow.
Yeah, saying stop the war. So do I believe in magic? Damn right. It happens. You've just got to give it a chance. And well, you guys know that, you did it in your own lives. But people who are listening, they think, "Oh, I'm just listening to this show." You can do it. Try. It's available to everyone. Yeah. So that's what I would. Yeah.
Perfect. I was just going to say, what next for you though, David? What is next for you on your journey?
I don't know. That which I don't know. I'm moving into. I love what I do, and I'm always creating. Creation by its nature moves, so I'm always moving. Of course, I'm dying to get back to Palestine to see my loves there, and to Israel. I'm dying to get back and see students in Italy and Austria and America and Colorado but I don't know. I follow my heart. Where my heart says go, I'm going to go. I'm a musician. I'm a writer. I'm a singer. We have a band. We're producing an album, and there's all that going on as well, which I'm so excited about. I'm working with Amanda. We're doing stuff at a big witches festival. I do a thing called trippy tracks, which are I take people into other spheres, other dimensions with music and words. Yeah, it's really beautiful. Yeah, I do it live, but I've now said it's music with Dave Punchin, who does so much of the music, and he's a great master, and I'm very honored to work with him. He's such a being. He was with the band Babe Ruth, but we've been working together, and we have our own band now. So we're launching that. So I really don't know. I mean, I'm just enjoying my life, and as long as here's the thing, as long as I can heal myself and heal others, and I can make, by the time I'm a very bastard, I want to be able to see that this world is as beautiful as I know it can be, and that we honor the earth and we honor each other. I want people to come back into little communities where they honor each other. We stop looking to other people above us. We don't need anybody above us.
Yeah.
We don't need that. We need to sit in circle like we're doing now, actually, and honor each other with love and compassion, and to be able to laugh at us, at the stupidity of our own egos, because it just deserves laughing at the ego. That's all. If you could laugh at it, it wouldn't exist. But everybody takes it seriously. Yeah. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm hoping for. Just that I leave this world in a better place than when I came in. That's all I want to take with me.
Is that where you see humanity heading?
Yes. The Aborigines know.
Oh.
The native peoples know. They know. All of them know. But does anybody listen? No. Why? Because they're female-based. See, all of the great ethnic tribes around the world, anybody listening now, just study them. You'll find they honor the feminine. The men honor the feminine.
Yeah.
When men do not honor the feminine, we have war culture.
Yeah.
It started 10,000 years ago in the Golden Circle in the Middle East, where we invented grain. And then because we invented grain, we had fields. So we stopped being nomads. And then we had to defend the fields. So we create warrior kings. And a man dies for his king and country rather than save his own life. And then the women become prizes of war, rape, pornography, all of that. So, we've got to lose that now. It's the end of that crap. It's old news. So I know we're at the end of that. That I'm sure. So I'm very excited. Very, very excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great time to be alive.
Yeah. It sure is. And the way to make it come faster, if anybody wants to know how to increase that, be nice to somebody nearby you, whoever it is. It doesn't matter who it is. Just be nice to them. And you say, well, why aren't you nice? Oh, okay, because you're caught up in your own selfishness. So let that go.
That reminds me of you, Leeann. On your interview, you said exactly the same thing. Do you remember?
I do. I love to do
exactly
good
the
deeds.
same thing.
Oh, God, I get such a buzz out of it. If I'm walking down the street and someone's miserable, God, I love to just smile at them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true, because the ego is the lie. If you smash the lie, you won't even recognize yourself. I don't know who I am anymore. I honestly, you say, talk about yourself and what you've done. Well, that's like somebody else.
Yeah.
If you destroy the idea of who you are and start to become who you really are, because it's a discovery and it's exciting.
It's like we were saying the other day, your name is it's the name of your car. Your soul is inside that goes on many journeys. This is just the car that you're borrowing in this adventure.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I love about Paul, because Paul says, he said, well, I'm not sure about this. I'm not sure about that. I love the fact that he does that. I love that he doesn't go, well, this is what I do this, but I'm not set in stone. It's like a painting. Painting, as you paint it with the canvases and the oils, it can change at any moment.
Yeah.
Dali used to do that all the time. Salvador Dali was a great, I'm a great fan of his work. And Picasso as well. They would change everything. Turner changed everything. That's why they worked with oils, because you can keep it flowing all the time. Yeah. Who knows what we are? Yeah. It's why do one thing all your life? Yeah. Why miss out on all the fairground rides? There's a whole fairground out there. I want to ride on it all, man. Yeah. It's like when they give me a menu, I want to go, I want to try everything on the menu. Let me try everything. But because I'm such a greedy bugger, It's great.
David, tonight has been fabulous, and we've really enjoyed it. I can't believe we've been on 1 hour 35 minutes. We're only supposed to be
too long.
For an hour. No, never. I could probably another hour or so. We could go on and on. It's been an absolute privilege tonight, and we can't thank you enough for bringing
heartfelt.
And such a beautiful message that you bring as well, and we really appreciate that. And I know, guys, there's many ways that you can rewatch on Catch Up, YouTube, on our Spiritual Talk page, on our group on Facebook, and even our pages. So please go along, and if you've just jumped in, just go back and watch the entirety. You'll really enjoy this interview. And
you've set a beautiful tone for the starting of a magnificent, couple of weeks. 2nd of the 2nd, 2022.
Sean's just brought that up. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Time
Sean.
of the Tiger. Yeah,
awesome.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. God is blessed. Love, blessings to you all, and live in a way that you make your ancestors proud. Because one day you'll have to face them, and if you're a wuss, when you're standing there in front of them, they'll go, "What did you do?" People ask me, they say, "Oh, what were you going to do? How's it going?" I said, I have a grandfather who was given the highest award in the British Army. He went in there to, my father's father. They bombed his factory in Liverpool, destroyed it, and he enlisted into the British Army. He went in and he didn't half kick some ass. And when he came out, they gave him one of the highest medals. And they said, well, thank you, for standing with your country. He said, listen, I wasn't standing with my country. They bombed my factory, okay? I just wanted to even the score. And that he was incredible. He didn't give a shit. And I loved him. He smoked big cigars and drank vodka. And he was what I'm saying, he had no nerve. I'm sure he was shitting his pants. But he said, go. Just go. And I can't do less. I won't do less. And in a peaceful way, let's have some courage. All of us. That's it. Love you.
Thank you, David. Before we go, though, we do need to pick a winner. If you can have a quick look on the comments. There's a few people that shared while we've been live. If you can pick someone, I'll give them a free half-hour reading.
Lou Cook.
Perfect. Awesome. That's brilliant. So, Lou, congratulations. You've won
a
free reading or healing session. You can choose between the two. Should we do it that way?
Yeah.
Whatever anyone wants.
Yeah. So, David, thank you ever so much. But we do have to go. I don't want to, but thank you ever so much. It's been brilliant.
We'll get together. Let's get together, all of us. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Awesome.
Thank you.
Take care. Thanks, David. Bye, everybody. We'll
bye.
see you this time next week.
Bye, see you soon. Bye.
Bye.